Hey everybody, it's Cauliflower Man here. I am bringing you another map overview for Battleborn. We're focusing on the map Monuments today, and Monuments is very interesting because it's got a lot of wide open spaces, a lot of long lanes that you can get caught in that can really screw you over. So we're going to do this the same way that we did the overgrowth map, and I'm just going to show you different control zones and what you need to do in these control zones. Always remember when I'm going over these, I'm showing you these different areas, not to say that you should stick in one area, but that you need to accomplish the task or objective of that area before you move on to the next one, or because there's only one task or objective that you can accomplish from this area, so you should only be there if you're a certain type of character capable of doing certain types of things. So again, we're going to start like we're spawning from the bottom base here, and we're going to be moving up as though we were playing defense first, and then we're going to just keep slowly moving forward on the map, gaining map control until we start attacking the sentry. So the first area here is this orange area. I call it the Sentry Final Stand. It's really similar to the Sentry Final Stand that I had for the Overgrowth map, except for this Final Stand area. When you're pushed back that far, generally speaking, the enemy team is doing damage to your sentry, so you really need to do something to get out of there. A lot of times it's pretty easy once you clear out those minions just to get forward and try and push forward into that sentry main defense area. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy for you to push them out of that red area, the sentry main defense area, but once you've cleared the minions out of that orange area, obviously there's not much in front of you, and that sentry has a good line of sight to them when they're in that red area, so it'll help you try and push them out of that red area. But once those minions are out of that orange area, you really need to get out of there, otherwise the enemy team's just going to crush your sentry. One way you can get them out of there is by going up to that yellow sniper perch area, and you might not be able to tell it right now, but this sniper perch is actually far above where that red area is. It looks down upon it, so you do need to be a sniper or some sort of ranged character if you're up there. I wouldn't do it with someone like a Caldarius. If you're an Oscar Mike, you really need to have a scope if you do it, or Whiskey, you want a scope if you're up there, just because it is a significant range to shoot people from. But that sniper perch can be a very good area to clear people out of the red area, just so your team below can make a push. But once they're pushed out of that red area, you almost always just need to leave that sniper perch, otherwise you don't really have a good line of sight. And you can always use the staircase that's on that little red or in the red area to look over the pink area, which I call no man's land. Now, no man's land is basically the most important part of monuments. If you don't control no man's land, you're not going to make it very far. And if you do control no man's land, it's very hard for anyone to take that from you, because it's just such a long lane, it's such a long open space that it's very easy to kill somebody if they try and push too far on it. So you have to be very careful when you're making a push into no man's land. The one mistake that I see a lot of people make in Battleborn, and this goes back to the advice that I had when I said don't be a pussy, is that a lot of people just give it up, and that's the worst thing you can do. Holding no man's land is the most important thing in monuments, and so long as you hold no man's land, you basically are going to win the game, just because it's so hard to take over. That's not to say that they can't push you out of there, but it's just hard to get pushed out of there if you have a coordinated team. So you really want to hold no man's land down, and you want to hold it, obviously, the offensive position, which just means that you're closer to their sentry when you hold no man's land. You can actually sort of shoot the sentry from no man's land. However, it's generally speaking, you want to hold it down just to make sure that you keep those minions, or keep map control, and you're able to kill the minions before your minions are able to make a push. But once you have no man's land controlled, if you're able to kill the enemy minions before your minions reach them, so you have your defendant or your minions completely up, completely full health, but you cleared the enemy minion wave, then you want to make a push forward towards that black area, the sentry assault area. This is where you make all of your pushes on the enemy team's sentry. You can do easy damage to the sentry here, and as long as your minions are going through, they'll take the shield down, so you can kind of set up shop there for a little bit. The only problem with staying in this black area is that in a lot of that area, the sentry can attack you, so you, generally speaking, can't be pushed up there for too long. You can kind of back or get pushed far enough forward so that the sentry can't attack you and you're underneath the enemy team's sniper perch, and you can hold that for a little bit, but it's very easy for the enemy team to make a push on you after you do that. So generally speaking, you don't want to sit in the sentry assault area for too long. You can if you have it held down real well, but generally speaking, the enemy team's going to push you out of it, and so you just get pushed back to no man's land and hold down no man's land, because that's a very good defensive position. Now I'm going to talk about the flanks here on the enemy team sentry. The green flank that is over by your side of no man's land, that is just if you take the staircase from the red area, from your sentry main defense area, and you jump on top of the pillar over to the enemy team's little staircase perch. That is a great place to be if you want to attack the enemy team's sentry. One great thing about this is that a lot of times the enemy team won't see you get up there if you're just trying to keep the shield down on the sentry. And I guess one thing I don't have marked here is you can also go to the same area but on your side if you want to look over no man's land. The only problem with being there, like let's assume you're in the green area but you're actually coming down towards the bottom sentry. That way I have a color to talk about here. But let's say you're in the green area and you're trying to attack the sentry at the bottom. It's not really that great of a place to be because the enemy team can push you there. You can do some damage, but it's a very limited. You've got very limited sight lines. So generally speaking, like that's why I didn't color it down. At least the one on if you're going from the bottom to the top, because I don't think it's a control zone you really need to worry about. You can use it, but the only time that I really use that area is when you're using it offensively. So I have it as the range flank here in the green. That's why I didn't mark it on the opposite side for us here. But anyways, that green area, you want to be there if you want to attack the sentry, but that's all you can do up there is you can only attack the sentry. That's the only thing it's good for, so it's very limited in its uses. The purple flank area, I call it the agility range flank. The reason I call it the agility flank is because you need at least a double jump to get up there. There are some rocky outcrops that there's like 3 of them that you have to jump up on in succession if you want to get up there with only a double jump. Otherwise you need someone like a Deonde or a Thorn with her extended jump height as well as the pushback on her melee, and then you can get up there and do some damage to the sentry. Other characters that can get up there with like a double jump are Toby. Cleese can do it actually with his hover. Isaac can get up there with his plasma dash. Wrath can get up there, although obviously Wrath doesn't have any range. But again, you only want to be up there if they have an enemy up there sniping down at you to clear that enemy out, or if you can do damage to the sentry as a range character. However, if you're up there, you're not really helping your team out that much, so your team has to have at least that no man's land held down very solid. Otherwise, you're not going to be much help for your team. And then the other flank is that blue area. I call that the stealth flank. You can't be back here unless you have stealth, or I guess you can do it as a boulder sometimes because boulder's so hard to kill. But that blue stealth flank area, really the only thing that's good back here is that you can attack the sentry, the shock turret that's back there, and minions, or and I guess when I said sentry, I meant sentry turret. You can also attack the sentry bot, though, too. Generally speaking, though, if you're back there and you attack the sentry bot, the enemy team's going to rush you real hard. So a lot of times it's good to go back there. Like, let's say you're an Oscar Mike and you just want to do a bit of damage to the sentry. Like, you drop your ultimate down on the sentry bot, then shoot it up a little bit, do some health damage. But by this time, the enemy team notices you back there. And so the enemy team turns around, they start running at you, and then you just stealth and run out of there. The good thing about doing something like this is you can give an opening for your team. So let's say you have a bunch of people in the rest of your team, all of the other 4 characters in the sentry assault area, and they're waiting for an opening, and you're that Oscar Mike, and so you do a little bit of damage to the sentry, and then you take the attention of at least 2 of the enemy team members. Well, then now your team in the black area has the advantage and they can make a push up real quickly. But again, if you want to use that area, you have to be very coordinated and you really have to be paying attention to your team. But just remember, again, all these areas that I have highlighted in this map, they're all just different control zones that have different uses. You don't want to be caught standing in any one of them. You just want to always make sure that you're doing the objective that is required in this area, and then once that objective is fulfilled, you want to obviously keep moving forward, keep pushing, because Battleborn is all about map control.